Imagine the world's greatest game and the people who run it, steeped in secrecy and greed. For decades, FIFA, the global soccer authority, cloaked itself in glory, even as whispers of fraud and bribery swirled in the shadows. Then, on a single May morning in 2015, the lid blew off. U.S. prosecutors unsealed a 47-count racketeering indictment, charging 14 FIFA officials in a 24-year scheme to enrich themselves. Attorney General Loretta Lynch thundered of corruption that is rampant, systemic, and deep-rooted, and even U.S. senators began likening FIFA to a mafia-style crime syndicate. The beautiful game would never look the same again. Welcome to Dutch Crime Files. The beautiful game, under siege. FIFA oversees soccer on every continent, steering World Cups and generating billions. But behind the scenes, investigators paint a very different picture. Behind closed doors, lucrative TV deals, vote-buying schemes, and offshore bank accounts became the currency of the realm. By 2015, a century of self-policing had failed, and global authorities intervened. In the U.S., prosecutors accused executives of taking well over $150 million in bribes, betraying the fans, athletes, and even youth programs who were supposed to benefit from those billions. Now, we trace how FIFA's most powerful figures fell, and how money and power warped one of the world's most beloved sports. Whispers in the corridor. The storm didn't come out of nowhere. Rumors of graft haunted FIFA for years. In 2001, British journalist Andrew Jennings began exposing FIFA's dirty secrets on the BBC, detailing shady agents and auctioned trophies. Over time, even investigators took notice. A former MI6 agent fed tips to the FBI in 2011, and FIFA's own ethics office quietly compiled evidence. The first domino fell in 2013 when Chuck Blazer, a long-serving U.S. representative on FIFA's executive committee, confessed to the FBI and pleaded guilty to tax evasion and bribery. Suddenly, the dream team of global soccer had a rat in its ranks. As 2014 dawned, the stakes got higher. Bidding scandals loomed over the forthcoming World Cups. In leaked emails, British reporters suggested that Qatari officials and their close ally, the ex-FIFA boss Mohammed bin Hammam, had funneled millions to win votes. FIFA's own investigator, Michael Garcia, compiled a damning report: serious irregularities in the 2018 to 2022 bid process. FIFA bureaucrats tried to bury it, but insiders knew something rotten was buried under those stadiums and skyscrapers. Meanwhile, the master of FIFA himself, President Sepp Blatter, was playing a high-stakes game of his own. Leaked Swiss police files later alleged that Blatter effectively bought the Caribbean votes he needed to win elections in 1998 and 2002. How? By awarding huge World Cup TV contracts to Caribbean officials, lining the pockets of CONCACAF boss Jack Warner in return for his support. The system was rigged from the top. By early 2015, investigators had enough evidence of secret cash and cover-ups that a full-scale takedown was inevitable. In the spring of 2015, all those secret schemes would collide in one dramatic moment. But first, we step back to see how FIFA's culture of cash began to crumble. The raid on Zurich, May 27, 2015. A sleepy Wednesday dawns on Zurich as FIFA delegates arrive at the plush Bor au Lac Hotel for their Congress. Unseen, FBI agents and Swiss police lie in wait. Just before the meeting begins, the door bursts open. 7 FIFA officials are handcuffed on the spot. World Cup COO Jérôme Valcke narrowly evades arrest, but others, including CONCACAF President Jeffrey Webb and Brazil's José Maria Maran, are seized on U.S. warrants. By the day's end, the Justice Department has charged 14 men on 47 counts of corruption, wire fraud, and money laundering. The authorities announce a mind-boggling figure. These defendants systematically paid over $150 million in bribes to seize FIFA's billions. It wasn't just the arrests themselves, but the details they exposed. Under oath, Chuck Blazer's secret testimony revealed how hidden payoffs steered even World Cup bids. He confessed that others on the FIFA Executive Committee agreed to accept bribes to vote for South Africa in 2010. Prosecutors found records of wire transfers and unmarked envelopes, a sordid paper trail of sports washing and graft. U.S. senators watching the hearings were stunned. Senator Richard Blumenthal blasted that this was almost insulting to the mafia, for at least the mafia wouldn't flaunt its greed so openly. That same week, Sepp Blatter shockingly won another term as FIFA president, even as police cuffed his associates. It looked like business as usual. Then on June 2nd, a dramatic twist. An FBI transcript leaked a Swiss letter suggesting Valka had discussed a $10 million payment to Jack Warner, right as Blatter claimed another victory. 2 days later, Blatter suddenly announced he would resign. One investigator quipped, FIFA's pyramid was collapsing from the top down. Yet more upheaval followed. In December 2015, U.S. prosecutors unveiled a superseding indictment, adding another 16 officials to the scandal. Now, 27 FIFA grandees were charged, accused of seizing over $200 million in illicit kickbacks. Among them were CONMEBOL chief Juan Angel Naput and Brazil's Marco Polo Del Nero, names synonymous with power in world soccer. Search warrants hit Media World, a Miami sports agency, and even FIFA's own offices. The net was closing. With FIFA reeling, global eyes turned to the tournament itself. Next, we look at how the Qatar 2022 World Cup, awarded amid scandal, became a lightning rod for controversy and allegations. Qatar, and more Qatar. By the time Qatar's Sunshine World Cup kicked off, FIFA was under siege. Qatar's win, just weeks after Moscow's surprise 2018 vote, had long been shadowed by corruption rumors. In 2014, Britain's Sunday Times had blown the lid off payments from Qatar to FIFA officials. FIFA's own report admitted irregularities but declared no smoking gun. Critics pointed out the obvious. Awarding the cup to a nation of 2 million with summer temps over 50 degrees Celsius seemed implausible, unless something unholy was at play. As investigations continued, evidence trickled out. In April 2020, the U.S. Justice Department quietly released new court filings alleging that fresh evidence had emerged. 3 FIFA officials took bribes to vote for Qatar. Still, Qatari leaders insisted on their innocence. One senior official declared confidently, "We are 100% confident in the integrity of our bid." Even today, no direct evidence has tied Qatari royalty to the graft, leading a Reuters investigation to note there was as yet no smoking gun proving the Qatari government itself paid any bribes. Meanwhile, the fallout continues. In 2023, French prosecutors opened Qatargate, accusing former FIFA VP Reynald Temery of passive corruption in the Qatar bid. They allege he received over 300,000 euros from Qatar's Bin Hammam to influence voting blocs. The scandal cast a pall even as the matches went on. Millions were watching the sport, but hearts and minds were with the investigation headlines. Back at FIFA, leadership changed, but many structures remained. Sponsors who once cheered for FIFA now demanded change. Coca-Cola, Visa, and Adidas publicly pressed FIFA to clean up its act, warning they wouldn't bankroll a tainted organization. Transparency International even called the indictments a wake-up call, urging FIFA to overhaul its leadership or risk its World Cup being boycotted. Sepp Blatter himself was eventually banned from soccer for 6 years for unrelated ethics charges, and Michel Platini fell from grace too. Yet many lower-level officials escaped prosecution. Today, FIFA is left picking up the pieces. The organization claims to have reformed, but lingering distrust remains. Fans in many countries wonder if billions in broadcast and sponsorship money will ever fund youth fields the way it was promised, or simply line the pockets of a few schemers. In the end, the biggest mystery might be not whether FIFA is corrupt, but how deep the rot really goes. The trials may be winding down, but the questions haven't stopped. Was this the end of FIFA's dark era, or only the beginning? For some viewers, the answer hangs in the balance as Qatar's World Cup lit up the Gulf with record crowds and revenue. Over 3.4 million spectators filled new stadiums, but the golden veneer didn't erase old shadows. The tournament was ensnared in a tangled web of scandals, from bribery allegations to sports washing linked to thousands of migrant worker deaths. In 2025, FIFA's leaders tout sweeping reforms, yet distrust lingers. Watchdogs warn the body is more poorly governed than ever. For fans, one truth remains: the final whistle has blown, but unanswered questions still haunt the beautiful game. Subscribe for more true crime stories from a Dutch perspective. This was Dutch Crime Files.